Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. I'm Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. Yes, guys, I am doing 2 videos in 1 week. This is probably like a record, but after the George Floyd incident, I have been sleepless the last couple nights. It's been kind of crazy. We've talked about it a little bit on the Fumble, even though it's sports related. It's just like we can't get out of talking about it. It's just been so crazy. Yesterday, I was supposed to go to a protest in downtown Los Angeles. I had went out there at 4 o'clock. I was supposed to start at 4. I got there a little bit before 4 o'clock and then didn't see anybody. I guess I was like 2 on time. And then I ended up leaving around like 4:15 because I didn't see anybody. So I went back home, and then shortly after I see on the news that it was mostly peaceful during the first hour and a half, and then around 6 o'clock, people kind of headed to the freeway and started rioting. A guy fell off a cop car, turned down service from the fire department, but then and eventually went and got treated at the hospital. And then obviously there's a bunch of charges on him now. They were busting out police windows. They were across the 101 freeway. It was pretty intense. And this led me, and obviously there's been riots going on in Minnesota right now, so this kind of like led me to what I wanted to discuss with you guys today, and that is, are riots actually effective? So this country, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, I'm assuming not, because the way people have been talking about it, it seems like the peaceful stuff happened first and then the riots happened later. But this country was actually founded on riots, like dates all the way back to the tar and feathering British tax collectors riots, the Boston Tea Party, the 1992 LA riots, which left 50 people dead and more than 2,000 people injured over that 5-day period. Ferguson, Baltimore riots, even though Freddie Gray, his family actually asked people not to riot because they didn't want their community tore up, but they did it anyway. And then obviously now here we are with the Minnesota riots and obviously the stuff that happened in LA yesterday. So like I said earlier, it's been interesting to say like nonviolent resistance, like what MLK did and what Gandhi did, practice doesn't work, because like I said before, that is actually the newer approach, because rioting wasn't working for so long. So rioting, they weren't seeing results from it. So that's why the peaceful protests and what Martin Luther King Jr. did and Gandhi did was so huge, because that was kind of a newer approach to dealing with an issue. MLK Jr. once said, I think that we've got to see that a riot is the language of the unheard. And to be clear, Martin Luther King Jr. ended up dying April 4th, 1968. That was actually very, very shortly after he said that statement. And then on April 11th, just about a week later, the president actually signed the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which was the expansion, obviously, of the 64 Act, and the new expansion to it prohibited the discrimination concerning rentals, selling, buying homes, financing housing on the basis of race, religion, national origin. And then obviously in the 70s, it was also added, sex was added. So females or males or whatever was added to that. And you were not allowed to discriminate because of that at that point. So that actually happened because after MLK died, hundreds of groups and organizations came together and rebelled for literally a week straight, which forced the president to sign this into law. So I understand, and I don't know how to put this correctly. So I believe riots do bring attention to something that needs to have change happen. That is a fact. But it doesn't ever really provide the game plan or the necessary action for the said change that everybody's looking for. So the key that is missing most of the time in riots and when people come together and riot is the game plan of it. So I always think if you have to ask these questions, what is the purpose of this exact action I'm doing, like burning down the local drugstore or whatever? Why or who does it directly affect? And in this case, it would be the store owners. And then why is this symbolic of my anger? Like, why am I doing this? And how does this symbolize my anger? Like, what is that one thing that I'm doing that is going to show that I feel a type of way about something and I am requiring change of something, right? So one thing, now it brings me to a riot that actually did work, because the ones I spoke of before didn't really work. I think sometimes riots can maybe incite a little bit of change for the moment, whereas maybe it gets a conviction or it gets somebody arrested or charges brought against them, whatever. But in the bigger span of things, nothing is actually ever fixed, really. So I think one that actually worked really well, unfortunately, was in 1921 in Oklahoma, when the white people decided to go over to the black community, what we know as Black Wall Street, and burn it down. Yeah, they went down and shut down what, in fact, is known still to this day as the most successful black community ever created. And that actually was it's horrible to say this, but that was an effective riot, because they went to whatever their problem was and handled it there instead of doing it in their own community, or like, oh, we don't want these black people to do this, so let's burn down all our stuff. That doesn't make sense. And they actually did it right, and the community was never able to come back from that. So yes, it's horrible, whatever, but that's an example of something that actually worked. So kind of what I would challenge people to do, like, if you feel like rioting or doing whatever the case is, like, why do it in your own neighborhood? I just don't understand that. Like, in this case, go to the courthouses or the police stations or the district attorney's offices and rebel there. That's when the people who are responsible for actually making the change that we want to see are affected by the situation and forced to do something about it. Like, I'm not, and again, this story is not here, this video is not here to say that what MLK did is right or wrong, what Malcolm X did is right or wrong. I'm actually saying that we need a little bit of both of them. I think a combination of them is the most effective way to do it. And those two ways of doing stuff, and money, like, are you mad at white people? Well, why don't you go only shop at black-owned businesses and stop shopping at white businesses and take money out of their pocket and put it into the black community's pocket? Like, why is that something that's not thought of? Like, I think all of this can be effective, and all of it is a good way of handling it. And I don't agree with the fact that, like, because I saw a post that kind of, I guess, ignited me doing this video, and it stated that we need more Malcolms and less Martins. And to me, I took that as like, why would you diss what Martin Luther King did and say there's too many Martins and not enough Malcolms? Like, no, we need a lot of everybody, you know? And the whole point is we need them to come together and make one game plan together that works, so we actually get something done. Because to be honest, like, alone, none of these were effective, because we are still in 2020 having problems, and they both died in the 60s. So I think that we need to combine stuff instead of dissing one black person because they do it a different way than you do. No, we all need to come together because we all are dealing with the same issue and we all want the same result to come out of it. So there's different paths of getting there. I think we combine these paths and have an actual game plan of, like, yes, we can use the riots to make notice and let people understand the madness and the frustration that's going on. Obviously, don't riot in the black communities. Do it in other places or the places that I stated before. And then we need to have game plans and explain to people what should be the outcome, what we need of this. We need to put stuff into law and do all these kind of things. There's so many ways to handle this to actually make change happen. Like, I don't have all the answers. Clearly, nobody else has all the answers either, because we're still having this issue. Still, the I can't breathe. And Eric Gardner died in 2014, and then this is 2020, and another person died because they couldn't breathe. Like, we haven't made enough change, and we need to come together and work on it together instead of saying your way's wrong, my way's right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So basically, stop dismissing each other, stop dissing each other. We're all in the same fight. Let's get it done together. I really want to know your guys' thoughts on everything. Let me know in the comments below. Everybody stay safe, love each other, try to be empathetic towards people's feelings and situations that they go through. And make sure you like this video, click subscribe. I'm Britt Johnson. Follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson, and I'll see you guys soon. Love everybody.